All right, ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to the King and I Life podcast, hosted by your man, Soul Toucher the Poet, and my brother.
Son Soul Lex in the building. Please believe it.
We are back, we are back, we are back. We have this discussion that we have to finish family trauma. Um, we're going into part three of this. But before we jump into that, definitely check us out on whatever your preferred podcast platform is because we are on all of them. We are worldwide. Um, Follow us on Instagram, YouTube, Facebook. We keep saying Patreon is coming. It's coming. Trust us, it is
Yes, yes.
coming. And as Sun Solex says, email us. Email us, king and I 369 gmail.com. That's KINGANDEYE 369 at gmail.com because we would love to have your feedback, love to have your suggestions, your questions, or, uh, guest spots and all that good stuff.
For sure. If you got something that you're working on and you want to come on and share with us, please, by all means, hit us up on that email. Let us know. Let's get together. Each one teach one. We can grow together. Please believe it. We just want to make the announcement, which we should have did last night, but it kind of got away from us. But from now on, our goal, and I'm going to say our goal,
Yes,
is to
yes,
go live every Wednesday night, if humanly possible for us.
yes. Time willing,
Um,
time willing, life willing.
yes, sir. So please keep that in mind. We also want to thank Dr. Kevin King for being our guest last night. We had fun. I think it was a very educational sit down and talk and conversation, and I really hope that he achieves his goals. He seems like a very noble man who's really trying to do something for his country and his people. So I salute that always.
Yes, indeed. Yes, indeed. I think that was a pretty good interview. You know, we've been working on that for a while. But
For sure.
timing is everything. Timing had to be right. We all had to get things set in order for us to do that. But glad it happened, and because of that interview, that has opened another door for us. So I'm not going to throw it out there yet, but hopefully that door will be kicked open really soon.
Yes, sir.
Oh yeah, and another thing, our goal is to do a live every Wednesday night. Um, Sometimes we might try to get a extra one in a week, or if we can't do it, we'll shift to another day. But uh, we do have some topics and people that we have in mind. So hopefully, we can stay on our once a week schedule, and if the planets align right and all that good stuff, we'll have throw another a second one here and there. Not a frequent thing, but something to look forward to because I think we're on a good path here.
For sure, for sure. We definitely got all of our guests lined up for the next uh probably like 3 or 4 weeks, I want to say.
Yeah, something like that.
But our next guest is a race promoter. He's a legendary uh, race car driver in his own right, especially out here on these streets. Yeah, we used to get it in on the streets, so I'm very excited to have that brother on. He's doing big things, so y'all be on the lookout for that. Um, I'm probably gonna holler at him tomorrow and go ahead and make sure everything's everything. But
Oh yeah.
once again, we got big things coming, so y'all just stay tuned. And for right now, we're gonna go ahead and get into this second part of this. Or no, I'm sorry, is it
Third,
third or fourth?
third. This is the
Third.
third part.
Thank you. Third part of this family trauma. So with that being said, let's say, is it okay to forgive an abuser and or try to have a relationship with them?
Um, Man, I guess that depends on the circumstances and the situation. Everybody has to take into consideration what they're going through, what they've been through, how that looks to them, how that feels to them. I don't, for me, um, it's somewhat kind of hard to forgive the abuser, um, because at the end of the day, people know the wrong that they're doing. Um, I refuse to believe or even subscribe to the fact that certain things are illnesses. Um, when you're hurting somebody. Uh, when you've been hurt. At some point in your life, you say, you know, I don't want that to ever happen to me, or I don't want that. I wouldn't do that to someone else. So certain things, I don't feel that I could forgive. Um, and again, I've been through a lot of things in my life. Mainly the lies that I've dealt with growing up, and a lot of those things I just can't forgive because it was blatant. It was just right shoved down my throat, or um, kind of like just swept to the side like it wasn't that serious. So for me, it's a difficult thing for me to forgive. But I will say I don't let stuff like that weigh me down to the point where I'm taking it out on other people in a negative way. That that's for me.
I'll say for me, with my circumstances, I think that forgiveness can happen. Um, Again, I feel like you should at least have a conversation. Um, if you are the victim in the situation or the circumstances, it's okay not to want to go through that process of having the conversation. It's okay to um, I'm not gonna say hold on to it, but I will say to not forget it. Um, when I say hold on to it, I mean if someone's hurt you, especially in your younger years, um, it's gonna carry with you quite some time throughout your life.
Yeah,
But holding on to the fact that someone hurt you in a way that like you're saying, that you don't allow it to influence you where you hurt other people. That's the biggest thing. Um, Again, for me, with all the traumas and the ups and downs that I went through, I had a phase where I kept pushing the self destruct button, meaning with my relationship with females. Um, I just couldn't let anyone get close to me like that. I just refused to. So it's kind of like as soon as someone told me, hey, I'm in love with you or I'm feeling you, um, that kind of was like the panic button for me. Like, no, because I'm not gonna return that same sentiment back to you.
right.
So, um, again, for me, I would want to have the conversation with my abusers. I will say I did not have the conversation, but the opportunity presented itself to me. Um, I would take it. Again, I feel like just the conversation itself should be had. Um, Unfortunately, with my situation, I think it's been so long ago that it's not even worth my time anymore to even hold a grudge against these people. Um, Basically, I have for myself, I've forgiven them and let it go. Um, the situation with my mom, again, I felt like she could have been a better mother to me, but again, she was young. Again, not making excuses for it, but when you come from an environment that you're surrounded by so many other siblings, it's kind of hard to be nurtured in a way where you can actually pick it up and transfer that uh, to your own children.
Right.
Um, my situation with my mom is I was born, and within a month, she was gone. So I was staying with my grandmother and my grandfather and the rest of the family for about a year before my parents came back and got me. So again, with the bonding process, uh, that window was closed at that point. You know, I may have been one or going on two, but
Mm.
again, that bonding time with my mother was not there. So um, it is what it is. It can't be erased. It's just there, and I've accepted the fact of knowing the circumstances around the situation where she had to leave and join my father, who again was in the military. Um, so I would say this for each individual who's gone through, you know, certain situations in your life. If you want to have a conversation, it's cool. It's good, you know. But if you choose to have a conversation and you choose not to forgive your abuser, that's fine too. But I will say having a conversation may be therapeutic for you. Um, do you forgive them? I think that takes time after a conversation has been had. Um, will you be cool with them or be able to build a relationship? I don't know. Um, Unfortunately, again, in my circumstances, I can't build a relationship because there's no one to build a relationship with. The people who mistreated me in my youth are long gone now. So um, just is what it is.
Yeah. And that's another thing, you was mentioning about, as time goes on and it's not worth holding on to that pain or whatever the case may be. Um, there are some circumstances where time goes on and it's not even worth uh, rebuilding a relationship with certain people.
True.
Um, their apologies might not be worth anything. Um, then you also have to take into account that you know there's a thing out there where you confront your abuser. For me, I don't feel like I should have to confront my abuser in most circumstances because again, as a conscious person, you know what you did hurt me, and as they say, hurt people. So if you knew, or even if you knew at that moment, or even as time went by, you said or did something to harm someone, you should, at, at the very least, be the bigger person and attempt to reconcile with that person. They may not accept your attempt at reconciliation. You just have to accept that. But
Right.
I think I think it's better for you know the abuser to um, stand on their own 2 feet and be like, I messed up. Let me go try to make this right. Um, because some people who were the victims of abuse, they may have all intention of, I'm going to confront my abuser, this, that, and the other. And sometimes they may snap and it just might not come out right. But, that goes both ways. So
Yep.
um, I don't know. At the end of the day, people, you have to do what you're comfortable with and you have to, you know, determine whether it's worth it or not to you. I mean, if it's not worth it, then let it go. But not let it go, just leave it alone. Um, just keep living your life the best that you can, and hopefully whatever happened that before is not um, haunting you throughout your daily life. And this is all types of abuse. It could be sexual abuse, neglect, verbal abuse, emotional abuse, psychological abuse. Um, all of these are detrimental to a person, um, detrimental to a family, detrimental to a legacy. These cycles of behavior can go on and on for generations. And I think people need to be more conscious of that. And they're doing things to hurt other people.
Most definitely. Do you hold parents accountable for their poor parenting choices, or do you chalk it up to they did the best they could?
Man, that's one of those things where, you know, me as a black child and going through the things that I've gone through, um, being able to come away from that and not repeat that behavior for the most part, um, I would say I'm gonna hold your ass accountable because it's a lot of things that were done instead that are kind of unforgivable. Um, Getting pregnant at a young age, okay, understandable. That happens. It's been happening for forever. Um, but treating your child as if they're the problem, I can't forgive that. Um, I always, talk about how I carried my mother's married last name for the longest time until, I was pretty much in high school and, dealing with all of that and,
Hmm.
all the emotional baggage that came with that. It's like, you know, you either blatantly lied to me or blatantly didn't tell me certain things. And, even growing up past all of that stuff as an adult, you still have not come and make it right with me. So I can't chalk it up to, oh, well, you were young and you did the best that you could because you knew you knew what you were doing was wrong. You knew what you were saying was wrong. You knew what you were withholding was wrong. I should not have to find out from other people that that I later find out a family that they were family. I think that's
Hmm.
horrible. Um, you sending me away to uh, family members that know me, but I don't know them under a lie. That's just wrong. Like, why the hell would you do that? I just can't. Mm, that's too. Nah, I can't. I just can't.
I understand. I'll say for me, it's kind of like a situation where, again, my uh, youth dealing with my mom, um, we really didn't get along, all that great. Um, Again, my grandmother pointed out the fact that uh, reason y'all couldn't get along is because y'all so much alike.
Mm.
But unfortunately, again, with my mom's passing, this is a conversation me and her never had a chance to have. But I will say, once I turned about 23, and she realized, this isn't a boy anymore. This is a grown man's man. That's when I think our relationship changed for the better. Um, and again, me and my mom, we got close uh, before she, many years before she passed away. But I'm thankful that we did have that uh, type of relationship um, before she crossed over to the other side. But I would say for the other people who, mistreated me in my youth, um, what can you say? I mean, it's
Mm.
dead and gone, and it's over with, and there's absolutely nothing I can do to change that. My father, again, I think he did the best he could when he was there, but again, being in the military has gone a lot, man. Um, so I'm still to this day very tight with my father, but again, I'm not making excuses for anyone. I think everybody has to take ownership of the shit that they did to their kids.
Right. Yeah. Definitely.
Um, I see a lot of my friends. Well, I'm not gonna say a lot of my friends, but I have a few friends where I just don't agree with their parenting style. Um, Me personally, I feel like if you brought a child into this world, whether you wanted to or you didn't want to, or whether it was planned or unplanned, that child is still a part of your responsibility because that child still carries your DNA.
Right.
So, um, some people say that they are great at being parents, and then their kids may disagree. Like, the fuck
Right.
you talking about? You a great parent? Like, I had this and this and this going on. Like, where the fuck were you? So, again, I guess that comes down to each parent and child. But I will say this: a lot of times, uh, in certain situations, okay, you have this child, you weren't ready for this child. You might not be the most responsible person in the world at that point, but when you have another life that you're responsible for, it's time to put away your childish as selfish as behavior
Mm.
and be a parent. Um, I thank God that, or the Creator, that I'm having my child here at a later stage in life, because when I was younger, I might have repeated the same process that um, me and my parents went through. I don't know for sure. I would have hoped I've been a great dad
Mhm.
at any age, but still, not everyone who has a child is quite mentally ready to be there. It's just something you have to make yourself do. Um, but anyway,
Yeah. I mean, another part to that is, although some of us, that some people accidentally have children young, and I'll say that loosely,
mhm,
some of us are determined to have children in an attempt to right the wrongs that our parents did. And,
right,
that's not always a good idea. I mean, it's good intentions, but, you know, you got to go into that thought process responsibly and uh, just think before you make those rash decisions, because you don't want to repeat what you've been through, or you don't want to do worse. Your goal is do better, but um, family trauma is one of those things where you definitely have to dig deep, look inside yourself, definitely check your surroundings, and be aware of the decisions that you're intending on making, because the outcome is long lasting.
that it is. That it is. Those decisions that you make as a parent will affect your grandkids because your kids will repeat those same mistakes that you made if they aren't um, in tune with themselves enough, or know themselves enough to know that, okay, I don't want to be like my mom or my dad. I know that much for a fact.
Right.
So it's kind of like they have to carve out their own way of being a parent, and hopefully that way is a better way for them and for their kids and the grandkids, as they say.
Yeah. So with that, how much? of our family history do we know? Do we have strong family structure within our own families? And let's talk about the loss of not knowing.
I would say on both sides of my parents' family, we have very strong family ties. Um, my dad has one, two, three, four brothers and one uh, adopted brother. So altogether, he has like five brothers. Um, but anyway, I'm very tight with all of my cousins on that side of the family, except for one of them. And it's just simply because there's so much of an age gap in between us and so much distance in between us because of the traveling. Um, I did when my father's in the military that we didn't get a chance to really bond like that. But everyone else, which only had one other cousin on my father's side, me and him, we're cooler than damn ice, man. We're real good. But on my mother's side, I got a shitload of cousins, man. A shitload of cousins, and we're all cool. I think the male, uh, as far as the males in the family on that side of the family, we're all tight. The females is kind of like when we see each other, it's cool. Hey, cuz, it's family, but it's not like we call each other. We might say something to each other on Facebook, or if we got a family event coming up, we'll holler at each other on that tip. But um, as far as my uncles and aunties, the ones on my dad's side, we're good because I only have one auntie other than the five brothers he have, and me and her, we're okay. She was adopted also, but again, it's not like we call each other and say happy birthday or anything. It's just when we see each other, it's cool. But on my mom's side, uh, with all her sisters and brothers, I feel like we're all good. Some of them stay more in touch with me than others, that's for sure. But again, when we see each other, it's all love. Um, as far as family history, I I was blessed enough to know my father's grandmother's sister, which was the one who raised him because his grandmother was not very responsible. She was not um, involved in his life to a certain degree. It's more like when she see him, she see him. She don't. She don't. She's not going to go out of her way to see him. But anyways, uh, but she was very influential in my life, especially when I was uh, younger. Um, I'll say from the time I was born to maybe like 12 or 13, something like that.
Mhm.
Um, but she taught me the importance of walking, and everywhere we went, we would always walk. It's like people always see us walking, and they'll stop and ask, "Hey, Miss Liddy, do you want to ride, or you need a ride, Miss Liddy?" And she'd be like, "No, we good." But that's one thing I appreciate learning from her is walking and the importance of putting your feet on the ground and being in touch with the earth. Um, I remember many a days of her getting up in the middle of the night, fixing a fire for me
Uh-huh.
because we lived in a house where the fireplace was the source of heat. So she would always say, I'm good. I got my cover, so I'm good. But because I was there with her, she would get up and make a fire for me. And I'm truly thankful for that time I spent with her. But as far as my great grandparents on my mom's side, I do remember a picture of my great grandfather. Um, I remember everyone saying how good of a man he was, and how hard he worked to provide for his family and the things he did for his kids. My great grandmother, my mom would tell me stories about her. She was a no nonsense type of person, but funny at the same time. So beyond that, I don't know. But I do want to go on genealogy, I think it is, and learn more about my family, which I definitely need to do because my son, I think he needs to know that information.